Hi, everybody. It's Helen from the Squiggly Careers podcast. Before you listen or watch today's episode, I just wanted to let you know about some news that Sarah and I are very excited about, and that is that our Squiggly Careers Skill Sprint is back. This time, we are going to be sprinting in September, and the sprint will last for a week. Our focus is on the 5 Squiggly career skills. So that is strengths, values, confidence, network, and future possibilities. And we are going to be accelerating your development by adding in a little bit of AI. So there are some prompts for you to play with, there are some tools for you to try out, and we have got everything that you need to learn. So sign up to the sprint. Head to squigglysprint.com. Add your email in and we'll start to send you your Ready Steady Sprint guide. You can sprint together as a team, you can sprint on your own, whatever works for you, but we are going to make this as easy as possible for you to sign up, for you to start, and for you to stick to your sprint. So go to squigglysprint.com to get started now.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Helen.
And this is the Squiggly Careers podcast. Every week we talk about a different topic to do with work and share ideas and actions to help all of us navigate these squiggly careers with that bit more confidence and control.
And we're recording a series for the summer. And so we want to do something slightly different because we recognise that work might feel a bit different in the summer and we might be juggling some different things, holidays, childcare, kind of lots of different work priorities. So these episodes are part of our summer series where we are taking quotes that have inspired our career and turning them into actionable advice for everybody who is listening. And in each episode, we will take one of those quotes and the other person will interview. So it's going to be Sarah's quote today, which she will reveal in a second. And I get the opportunity to interview Sarah. Have I ever interviewed you before?
I don't know if you have. Actually.
We'll see how this goes. So we've got a live experiment, completely unprepared. Okay, well, let's start with question number one. What is the quote that has inspired your career?
So the quote is "Never live the same year twice."
What does that mean to you?
Well, I first heard the quote for a very impressive lady called Nicola Mendelsohn. And I think for me, "Never live the same year twice" was me connecting the dots between letting go of ladder-like thinking for my career and sort of embracing this idea of a squiggly career, because in lots of ways I'm really attracted to the ladder, which is it's ambitious, it's achievement orientated, I want to progress. For a while I wondered whether progress or progression was actually one of my values. I decided achievement was a better word. But I think I was trying to sort of reconcile in my mind, well, I don't want to let go of my ambitions, and work is a big part of who I am and I enjoy the work that I do, but I do recognize this ladder is starting to feel limiting. But how do I bring those kind of two worlds together? And I think hearing "never live the same year twice," I was like, oh, okay, this is much more about me. We talk about create, don't wait in terms of your career and your job. It just stuck with me as like be more intentional about your career, and that doesn't need to look like a change in job title, doesn't need to look like a change of company, doesn't even have to look like a change of job. Every year you can make the commitment to never live the same year twice and you can deliver on it.
What have you done differently in your career or life as a result of that quote?
I think much more about doing things I've not done before, partly because I think I know a bit about how good it is to be a beginner, but also because I do find those moments of doing something for the first time. There's that really good question that Kath Bishop asked in her book, The Long Win. When was the last time you did something new? Or when was the last time you did something for the first time? And I do recognize that it is so easy to get stuck in habits, patterns, doing things you've done before. And there's that kind of great phrase that which I always think feels really harsh. It's sort of the stick version of the quote that I've chosen. So if the carrot version is "never live the same year twice," I feel like the stick version is "familiarity breeds complacency." And I'm like, oof, like that's the kind of stick.
Yeah, that's quite harsh.
Yeah, it is harsh, but I also find it quite interesting. The thing that I do differently is I do look ahead to a year and I'm like, right, what do I want to try out? What do I want to do differently? What do I want to do for the first time? And then it then informs a lot of the actions that then I take.
So clearly is a quote that has made a big difference to you and your development. Why do you think it is something that could help other people?
Well, I was reflecting on this, and I think we often ask people at the start of workshops or programs that we're doing, what's one word to describe your career so far? or to describe how you're feeling about work at the moment. And you do hear people say stalling and stuck a lot. I think that is kind of natural. We all have those moments where perhaps you feel like you're plateauing a bit. But if you have this idea of never living the same year twice, I think it helps you to get unstuck and it helps you to make progress because you can all, like, we can all do this in some way. Even if our jobs are quite habit based and we do a lot of the same things and there's lots of routines, there's always kind of some newness that I think you can find and that I think is really good for us. And if I think about what does it look like to be resilient in our squiggly careers, you don't want to do the same again. You
Mm.
don't want to get stuck in the status quo. I think that increases your career risk and decreases your resilience.
I think that it is a lovely, compelling question. So let's move from the question, never live the same year twice, or the sort of statement of that, into specific actions that people can take if they find that inspiring. How do they like activate it in their work and career?
As regular listeners will know, I'm very anti manifesting or manifestation. So I think if you just go, oh, never live the same year twice, and then I'm just going to hope that that will happen, in my experience, that's not true. And so I do think you've got to be more intentional about that. Um, but some of what I'm going to describe, I think does actually get quite close to manifesting. So I think there's a good critical challenge that you and some of our listeners could maybe have of me here. But I do think they're different. So I think a really good propelling coach yourself question here is what do I want to be true in 12 months time that isn't true today? And for that to work really well, I really recommend a mind map. Get these thoughts out of your head, get them onto a bit of paper. And the thing that I find from doing this is naturally, perhaps it's the way my brain works, by doing that fast forwarding, you're kind of fast forwarding through your year, you then naturally come back to the present day and go, well, what do I need to do now to invest in future Sarah? Because again, most of the time you do need to look ahead and think about, I don't know, are there people you need to talk to? Do you need to spend some time on ideas? Do you need to book into a course that you really want to do? Whatever it might be. And usually you can't turn those things on straight away. So I do think you need this moment, or perhaps I need this moment of thinking and reflection where I fast forward, I get the kind of mind map down, and then I think I do the what, so what now? Two questions.
Yeah,
Well, what
yeah.
does that mean for me? And it's not like I map it all out perfectly. I think I have more themes and kind of territories. And then I kind of do the so what now, and that gets me to some actions. And then I've got sort of three more kind of practical actions. The first one is based on this is new for me this year. So though I've known this quote for a while, this is a new insight. And it's based on a conversation I had earlier in the year with Katie Milkman, psychologist who's sort of really interested in like change and behavior change. And she talked about this idea of the fresh start effect, which is essentially any moment can be a fresh start effect. But it helps you to kind of to maybe do something different or to try something out. So a fresh start effect could be September. So if you are listening to this in August, September is quite a natural back to school, back to work moment. Even if you're like, I mean, before I had kids, I always went on holiday in September, but I still think I came back from holiday in September feeling quite like, oh,
It's
start of
so new
school
pencil case. It's
yeah,
so
it
new
is
pencil.
so
I
new
love
pencil
it.
case. So it could be a September, it could be a Monday, it could just be one that's based on your life, as in, I'm on holiday next week, so my fresh start effect is going to be next Monday.
My birthday, right? It's my birthday this month. It's going to be a fresh start. Like it's
Exactly, anything like that. And I think you can use that thinking as a prompt for finding small firsts. So even though you never live the same year twice, I think feels quite zoomed out. Never living the same year twice, a lot of that is about finding small firsts, doing things in your week that you've not done before. And that could be a new way of working, experimenting with someone, doing a meeting in a different way, a new piece of tech. If I think about this year so far, never living the same year twice, I've experimented with more technology this year than I probably have in the last 3 years. And that's not all AI. I know the default is that's all AI. It's not all AI. It's using video in two or three different ways. It's us thinking about the podcast and how technology can kind of help with the podcast. So if that's about the what, like what are you doing in terms of never living the same year twice? My second action is about the who. So who can help you to never live the same year twice? So who are you spending time with? And make sure that you've got enough newness and novelty. Sometimes they're described as weak ties. So the people you don't know as well, who know things that you don't know and know people that you don't know. And I have to be the first one that we describe, first action, that's just me. Like I'm naturally more like that. This second one would not happen if I didn't think about it.
Mm.
I don't want to meet anyone new, really. I I'm introverted. I've got some very good friends, and I'm very happy with those people. And so, what that then does is limit your ability to never live the same year twice because you're limiting your learning, you're limiting your possibilities. So I think very consciously about how do I do this? How do I find new people in new places? And actually, when I really thought about this, for me, I take quite a structured approach. I'm not a spontaneous person. I'm never, again, I don't hope it's going to happen. I think about the communities I want to be part of, the networks I want to join. I very intentionally do some things outside of Amazing If, really with this in mind. So if I think about this year and never living the same year twice, I've really thought about, I've joined two boards of two companies outside of Amazing If. And part of my motivation for that is to learn and to spend time with some different people. I
Yeah.
know this year I'm not going to live the same year twice because I'm spending some of my time um, with an employee owned trust, an organization that has transitioned to being an employee owned trust, um, and being on the board of a company in a way that I've kind of not done before. It's often actually not about my day job. Actually, that was my other observation. Everything I looked at around not living the same year twice around the who was always stuff that kind of went beyond my day to day and was more about my development.
I guess being on the other side of it, as someone that does work with you in the day job, I see that come back. Like, not,
Mm,
you by spending time with those people, it then results in doing things different in the day job. So I definitely see kind of how that loops around. What's the
yeah.
final action?
Well, the final action is one that I don't think I do very well. So I thought I would share it as a kind of gap that I've got. So I thought I've got the what and the who. And then I think never living the same year twice is also a bit about the where. So variety is one of my values. And I get a lot of energy from spending time in different places and spaces. And so sometimes I think never living the same year twice is about visiting new places or just spending time in new places and being really inspired by that. And I had a moment in my career where I did that a lot. And I am starting to kind of I am creeping back or rediscovering, which sounds less weird. I am rediscovering that, I think, for myself. And I think to again be kind to yourself. It is harder to do. It was harder to do at the start of our company and when you've got really young kids. And now my kid is a bit older and I've got a bit more support. I can think about this again, I think. And I find this like very inspiring for myself and for my career, but also just for my life. And so one reflection I wrote down was that I've never been to the British Library ever. And I was thinking, I feel like that's my spiritual home. I applied for a job at the British Library once, didn't even get an interview. But when you're like, there's no reason why I've not done that. It's in
Yeah.
London. I live near London. I've walked past it. I know where it is. And I'm pretty sure you can just go in, I think. Even if you can't, I'll just go and join. I'd love a membership card for the British Library.
Any
Um,
final words on never living the same year twice for our listeners?
I think don't feel pressured to necessarily go through this process by yourself. I am quite individual and quite independent in my approach, so I do a lot of thinking by myself. But I do have a Helen in my life to kind of run things by. But again, I don't run a lot of these things by Helen, to be honest. Like you're just like no, but I think that is kind of unique to me, and other people might work in that way as well. But I think this is a brilliant thing that you could do with someone you really trust. Like this is a great thing to chat through with a mentor, great thing to talk about with someone just you trust at work and you get on really well with. If you both connected with this quote, have some conversations around it. Yeah, don't feel like you kind of have to do this solo. I'm always quite aware that I'm quite like a solo person.
But you are a lovely person, and I learn a lot from your solo reflection. And so that is the end of today's episode. It's the second one in our series. So in the first one, I talked about run your own race. We've obviously just done never live the same year twice. And in our third episode in the series, I'm going back to my quote, which is challenge your limits, don't limit your challenges. And Sarah will be asking me some questions to understand that quote a bit more.
Looking forward to it. I'm enjoying these conversations. Quite a nice change of format for the summer. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Back with you again soon, and bye for now.
Bye, everybody.